Hey everybody, thank you all for coming to lunch today. Today we have Dan Hartsig. He is a Naval alum. He actually presented here in 2019 in person, and now he's back virtual. So without further ado, Dan.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. Happy Friday. It's good to be back, even though it's only virtually versus in person. I wish I could be there in person. Hopefully the weather is a little better there than it is here in Maine. But I'm excited to speak with you guys for a little bit, probably the next 30 minutes or so, kind of walk through a little bit more about me, my name experience, what it's like here in Maine, and General Dynamics Bath Iron Works, where I currently work, some things I've learned along the way, some of my future aspirations, and definitely appreciate the department and everyone being here today to kind of listen to what I have to say. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and get started. A little bit more about me. I'm 30 years old, graduated in 2014 as a NAME grad, and born and raised in Southwest Michigan. So fairly close to Ann Arbor. Always felt like home. And I think ever since I was 5-6 years old, when I was able to actually understand sports and what was on TV, I was a U of M fan right from the get-go. I currently reside in Augusta, Maine, which is the capital of Maine. And it's kind of in the central part of the state. And my wife works a little bit farther north in upper part of Maine, and my work is obviously in Bath, Maine. So we're kind of split in the middle here. And some of the things I like to do in my free time are hiking, traveling, reading. Top right picture is my wife and I actually in Ann Arbor a couple years ago, which was the last time that we were there. And on the bottom right is a picture of Acadia National Park, which is about 2-hour drive from Augusta area. And probably one of the coolest national parks that I've ever been to, and it resides here in Maine. I wanted to talk a little bit more about my experience when I was within the department. And I think everything kind of began when I was a freshman, and I was taking Engineering 100, which in that instance was underwater vehicle design. And that's kind of where I first started, and I first began understanding more about the design, build, and test process. And I was kind of intrigued by that particular project that we were given. And I was currently thinking of going into chemical engineering and was taking chemistry, and I think was a bit overwhelmed by the amount of people and the number of people and just the structure of chemistry in general. And so I was always kind of wondering what else was out there as I started my time at Michigan, and naturally met Warren, right, who we all know and love, and has been a great resource and mentor and friend over the last 10-12 years that I've known him. And naturally he did his spiel and was able to convince me to look into more into the department and the job opportunities and the career and the potential lifestyle and the job placement and everything that NAME offered here at Michigan. And lo and behold, I kind of decided to commit in my sophomore year. And, I think everything just kind of just became a lot better and a lot funner and a lot more eventful with kind of breaking away from the larger engineering Ann Arbor, college campus experience into a smaller, less busy, maybe less hectic, close-knit department and class. And I naturally just fell in love with everything that came along with it. And, here I am today. So during my time within the department, I was able to spend a lot of time in the summers and during some of the school years at the MHL on Central Campus, which I know is still a common staple and has been upgraded recently, I think, since me working in there, which is awesome. Glad to hear that. and worked on a couple different projects throughout my time there. There was a AAAV project that we had got some funding for, some of the tank filtration and underwater video contraptions we were kind of messing around with. I think one summer we cleaned the tank, which was an experience of its own. And we also did some work for Sea Ray too. So I was able to spend a lot of time with a lot of the faculty that worked there, was able to do some research projects, and was able to kind of stay around campus for Ann Arbor 1 or 2 summers as well, which was nice. The picture on the right was a trip that we made as a group to Fincantieri in Wisconsin, and we were able to actually see one of the ships launch there, which was a really cool experience. And down below, we were, I think, maybe in Cleveland for the Great Lakes, Great Rivers section meeting as well. Another cool experience, networking opportunity that I was able to do within NAME. The summer 2012, Michigan had a partnership with HII, and I had the opportunity with a smaller group of people to go over there for about 4 to 6 weeks, where we were able to tour the shipyard. At that point, I think there was close to 50,000 employees, I believe. I think it's definitely gotten smaller since, as of much of the shipyards in the world. But it was really my first exposure to a shipyard. And it happened to be the largest one in the world. And so I was able to kind of start understanding the process while I was there. And we worked more in the whole engineering division, and kind of were getting exposed to drawings and the process and how new design was implemented. And we also spent a lot of time in some of the testing facilities as well, with their water channel and tunnel, and helped them with some of their testing. Overall, it was a really cool experience for someone who never studied abroad during their time at Michigan. And it really gave me a unique exposure to South Korea, the shipyard there, the shipyard ship production process. And I think as probably most people know, Korea and that part of the country had a really good feel for how to build ships, and they were able to build a lot of different types of ships. And I think the time that I was there, they were it was like once a week, every ship was being launched, and it was quite impressive. Things have definitely changed since then, but that was my first big exposure to a shipyard. I also went down to BAE Systems in Mobile, Alabama in summer 13, and they had just kind of a couple of years prior started being part of new construction side of things. So they're building some smaller vessels, and mostly I want to say tugs and barges, and they were more known for their repair work, which was in their floating dry dock. And I spent most of my time in the engineering side of things, and I did some of the nesting structural parts and pieces, that drawing, design part of the process, along with issuing ECNs, or engineering chain notices, for future changes for some of the future ships that they were building. And I kind of also helped with more on the structural engineering side, the lifting of some of these units that were out throughout this shipyard as well. I don't know if BAE still owns the shipyard. I think it might be Alabama Shipyard now. But either way, it was another nice exposure to another shipyard, which will ultimately lead me into where I'm at today. Some of the things that I learned, or maybe I didn't learn as much as I thought I could have, or utilized maybe these lessons that I reflected on when I presented a couple years ago, but I thought were important to share, were time management, right? I didn't really think about it until later, the amount of hours that are in a week and how much time I allocate to what, whether it's school or fun or extracurricular activities, or whatever the case may be, and I think I really thought about things differently when I kind of broke it down by hours throughout the week. I also started to prioritize things. Not everything's important. Not everything needs to be done today or within the hour, and recognize the importance of that. Longer term, goals and visions and how that aligns to whether it's your schoolwork or your potential future career or your aspirations, and kind of investing whatever time you may have during school to maybe go visit that shipyard or go visit that networking session, that was on North Campus, or just continuing to interact, whether it's a SNAME visit or being able to be a part of the annual meeting, and just whatever made sense to you and your goals. And if you didn't know what they were, just to try to explore to see what else was out there. Technology for sure has changed even since I was in school, whether it's good or bad. And there's a lot of tools that you can use to help manage your time. I think even now through work, I use to-do lists to kind of create reminders and make sure that I'm on certain tasks, and can even assign certain time frames throughout the week where they repeat. And sleep is always important. Sometimes it's easy to get wrapped up in the grind and enjoying yourself on the Saturdays with college football in the evenings, and it's important either way, just to try to get some amount of sleep. And I think I value that now more than ever, especially with a 10-week old daughter that my wife and I have as well. Continuous development, invest in activities that grow your network, right? I think the SNAME meeting's a key place there. I think the NAME department does a great job with connecting you with other alumni and other opportunities. This presentation as an example, or this opportunity to present. And I know we always had guest speakers coming in and flying in. It seemed like every week of the school year too. So that was one of the nice things about NAME, is there's plenty of opportunities to talk to someone or to connect with someone to try to understand more about their company and future job opportunities as well. Personal finances, definitely more of something that I reflected on after I graduated, but I think it's as important just to think about it and be mindful of having a budget, and spending less than you earned, and kind of setting financial goals throughout the course of your time at school, especially with the cost of everything now. And it's just something that I thought was worth sharing for sure. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about Maine, and I think one of the reasons that kind of drew me there was the Four Seasons and the comparison to Michigan and being raised there. And there's a couple of things I wanted to kind of talk about. Well, more importantly, Bath, Maine, where the shipyard is. It's been around for quite a while. A smaller city with probably 8,000 to 10,000 people now. Home of the shipyard, and the river as well, the Kennebec River, that kind of travels into the Gulf and the rest of the ocean. Portland, Maine has been a great city to kind of watch ever since I've came out here, and it's grown substantially. Good food, good beer, good scenery. It's right on the coast, and it's definitely growing in size and real estate, and it seems like that this particular city has been a hot spot for places to visit if they do decide to come to Maine. Mount Keheden is the largest mountain in Maine, and it connects to the Appalachian Trail. I haven't been there yet, but it's definitely something on my list as I feel more comfortable with doing something of that size. And Acadia National Park, which I already kind of spoke about. I think, that statistic was back in 2018. I feel like last year with the pandemic and everything else, I feel like that number's quadrupled or tripled with the amount of visitors that have visited the park, which is pretty crazy to think about. But great scenery, great area to visit for sure. And Bar Harbor is a great hidden gem right outside of the national park as well. Portland, Maine has the old port has a really nice bar scene and food scenery, and just really lively, a lot of history and a lot of old historic spots within the city as well. Portland Headlight, a lot of lighthouses in Maine. I think there's 101. This is one of the more predominant ones, well-known ones in Cape Elizabeth, Casco Bay, and just a snapshot of the festival that happens down in the Old Port each year. Bath Ironworks. So the shipyard is located in Bath, Maine, right on the river, and it employs close to 7,000 employees now, which we have about 10 ships in production, with new construction, Navy work being our primarily focus. DDG 1002 is now gone. It's in Pascagoula. DDG 120 is all the way in the corner, and then DDG 122 and 124 are in the land level area. There's 5 or 6 more ships in various construction stages as well. But this kind of is a high level view of the shipyard. And we have several offsite facilities, both design and engineering. We have a structural fab facility located in Brunswick and an outfit fab facility as well. But the main yard is kind of home to where the rubber hits the road, and where most of everybody's employed for sure. So this is just a high level view of the shipyard, and you can kind of see Bath in the background too, the city. So my time at BIW started in fall 2014. I came on board as one of the first production associates, or one of the first PDPs that were a part of the professional development program at BIW. It's a program that's used at NASCO and I believe Electric Boat as well, to kind of get younger, high-level graduates an opportunity to good exposure to the production process early on. And I was able to see 16 different areas of the company within 24 months. That number is a little outdated with regards to the number of people that work there now, but it was engineering and design, operations, with a lot of the different areas of construction, planning, safety, quality, labor relations, materials, procurement. Whatever department is at a shipyard, I had the opportunity to visit and connect with high-level key people, learn more about their division and their processes, and some of the most important things that they do on a day-to-day basis. In summer 16, I graduated from the program and started as an area manager. Right out of the program, I hopped right onto a ship that was getting ready to launch and be a part of some significant milestones, and oversaw about 12 combat spaces. The deck house unit up on the right was one of the units that I helped build, and managed the people building them. So this was a good first entry production role where I managed these areas and got them ready to light off the combat systems for the ship. Shortly, once that was completed, I transitioned to 118 and started building the deck house before and after blast and paint. So an earlier stage of the build cycle. So I'm starting to grow my team and or reach with regards to the people working within my area. From there, I was able to be a part of the team erecting it to the rest of the ship, the picture down in the lower right-hand corner. And that's where I was able to expand my footprint even more and oversaw the rest of the deck house, everything above the main deck. I definitely have been in ops since the beginning, and most recently finished last year with going on Alpha Builder and Charlie Trials for 118. So I was able to kind of see it all the way to delivery, which rarely happens, it seems like, or you get shuffled around enough, and I had the opportunity to. And then afterwards, the company accepted a post-delivery scope of work, involved a lot of unique changes to the ship that the government and the shipyard agreed to doing after the Navy accepted the delivery of the ship. So that was very unique and intrusive and kind of more like repair type work in comparison to new construction. But it was really, really cool to see that side of the process. It obviously was a lot of fun to be a part of trials where I was able to actually see all the systems that I had built, or the equipment, or the heavy machinery brought to life, and pretty impressive to see the ship moving at such great speeds and firing weapons. And it gave me the ultimate feeling of satisfaction after kind of going through the grind of building the ship. And Right now, I just recently, about probably 9 months to a year ago, transitioned to 124, where I'm doing a similar role, but also doing a lot of mentoring on other ships and teaching other area managers and learning more and starting the transition to ships management, being a ship manager, overseeing the entire ship in the production process. So quite a big step up with role and responsibility. So I'm learning that role for the future, and I'm trying to teach all the new and younger area managers as well on some of the other ships. We're also spending a lot of time and effort revamping our training department, and I'm helping to develop a playbook with roles and responsibilities, and just to have something that allows newer hires to kind of have a good feel or a place to start when it comes to being an area manager. So a typical day involves a lot of time out on the ship, which I think is one of the most rewarding feelings, and is something that I was kind of trying to figure out when I was in the development program. And it's kind of like a 70 to 30, 80-20 balance of with the larger number being on the ship and interfacing with the workforce, and with the 20-30% being back at your desk or in meetings, kind of mapping out your vision and the plan for building the ship. And most of my week entails safety and housekeeping walks with the government and our safety department, making sure that the ship is clean and safe and is presentable to work in and to perform hot work. I also spend a lot of my time walking my 150 compartments on the ship, and the trade work and spray and general inspection status of progressing those spaces. A lot of my time is dealing with potential conflicts, or trying to prioritize and work with all the 12, 15 trades that are building the ship, and kind of developing a plan and mapping it out and executing, and spending time making sure that everybody is working where they need to, and they're really doing a good job of working efficiently and effectively together. I spend a lot of time looking out a month or so, plan of the week type visions, whether it's more tactical or strategic, trying to understand what my goals are for the week within my area. At any given time, I probably have 100 to 200 mechanics within there. And so I'm spending a lot of time with them and trying to figure out a bigger plan and bigger goal and vision to meet our milestones. And along with that, we have a second shift. I think right now on the ship that I'm on, we have about 600 people on it, with 350 being on first shift, right around 150 to 200 on second shift, and then about 50 to 100 on third shift. So a fairly large amount of people on the ship, which is good. It means we're making progress, and we have the manning and the resources to go and do that. So there's a shift turnover process that I'm a part of, and there's a natural just meetings or milestones or bump and runs that we have on the ship too as well. So pretty busy day and week, but it's super satisfying. And in my current state, I enjoy being outside and being with the weather. And whether it's sunny or rainy, or it's 90 degrees outside, which I'm sure will be here soon. And I really like that lesser time in front of the computer and the more time face to face working with people and managing the workforce as well. Some of the things that I've learned in my time, both in the program and after graduating and reflecting on this presentation and being able to speak in front of all of you, is the importance of emotional intelligence, and how your thoughts and your feelings not only are affected by yourself, but they're affected by your peers. And there's a lot of different things that you can do to help influence a good outcome or build a strong team. And a lot of that revolves around emotional intelligence, whether it's showing authenticity, or accepting criticism, or showing empathy and praising other people, and receiving feedback and giving feedback, and your ability to help others too as well. servant leadership is something that I had mentors early on and saw their presence and how they interacted with their workforce. And I try to abide by that leadership style where it's not really about me. It's about the bigger picture. And I often try to ask questions and ask how I can help and try to be respectful and listen, which is a big thing, and try to hold people accountable and just kind of really have the mentality of, hey, I'm here to help. What can I do to help you? And how can we go build this ship together? So those were two key things. I also in the program I'm a big reader in general, but there was some books and other articles and stuff that were recommended to me while I was in the program. The first 90 days I found was a little dense of a read, but very applicable for starting your first job or transitioning to a new role. And really enjoyed Michael Watkins' Getting Things Done is more of like a productivity system. How do you manage your day-to-day and long-term activities, whether it's your email in your inbox or how you manage the work that's in front of you or your daily tasks. And I thought that was super, super unique and something new for me to learn. Radical Candor, which is the upper right-hand corner, focusing on how you can still challenge people that work for you, but still show a caring side as well, right? And trying to push people out, and that's radical candor. And Start with Why. Simon Sinek is a great book, great author, great person in general that I enjoyed. So a couple books that I found were value added to myself. I also did a strengths assessment through Clifton earlier on, where I kind of got a good feel for some of the areas that I do well in, and also ones that I tend to neglect or not do well in. And I kind of focus on the strengths that I'm doing well in, but also being aware of some of my weaknesses as well. Some of my future aspirations involve, the next level of management, the ship's management level, or potential engineering manager with either ops or engineering. I also hope in the next year or two to finish my PMP certification. A lot of my work that I do is all project manager focused, right? Being out on the ship. I hope in the next 5 to 10 years, maybe being at a senior level position, maybe look at an MBA or an executive program. Last year, I took a graduate certificate program through Stanford that focused on leadership, and it was through Stanford's graduate business school, where I was exposed to 150 different people across the world and their experience, and all of the graduate school's professors and their coursework as well, which I really found intriguing and something that inspired me to continue down the leadership path. And eventually I hope to maybe be in a senior executive position, maybe not, right? I think one day at a time is more of my goal and motto. But I think it's important to try to have aspirations too as well. And things change over time. I might not be in the role I am today next week. But I think I enjoy operations, and I enjoy the building of the ship and seeing it in person. And but I also recognize that my degree is in engineering, right? And I think things very logically, and I'm data driven, and I enjoy the engineering mindset of things and how they operate, right? Too. So maybe one day I'll go back to that division, where I once got my degree. That's all I really had to present to you guys today. I'm more than willing to answer any questions that you guys might have. I know that I kind of went through a lot of different things, but I hope that what I shared with you guys today was meaningful and will add value to your futures here at Michigan and your careers within the naval architecture and marine engineering industry.
Dan, I'm sure we have some questions. Sorry. Thank you for being with us today, and congratulations. I didn't know you had a new baby. Do you need maize and blue?
Yeah.
I hope you have maize and blue apparel for her. I just want to say that
We
not a lot.
definitely do.
You do? Okay. Not a lot has really changed since you left. I think students still come to us because of Warren. Students still work in the MHL. We had a good sized group go to Stamy Great Lakes, Great Rivers, and then we have another group that's getting ready to go to Fincanterry next week. So again, a lot of the same things you did. Do we have any questions for Dan? Nobody? Well, one second.
Hi, Dan. I know you mentioned the PDP program. So since you're a section area manager, do you have some of those younger candidates coming to you for the same reasons that you were in the program?
Great question. I find myself naturally drawn to the people in the program just to try to understand their background and more or less maybe recruit them to operations, depending on their discipline and their goals and how I feel when they kind of spend time with us. But I would say the program itself is definitely a good avenue to recruit people throughout the company. And I think it's a really good stepping stone for being exposed to such a large company like BIW and first time kind of hand in their shipyard and their processes. But I would definitely say yes, for sure.
And have you come across or do you work with other name grads?
Yeah.
Good question. Yeah, there's a few still in the engineering division. I think they're more of the IT engineering, maybe trying to think. There's one or two in hull engineering. There's one or two that are more in the research, we'll call it innovative technology group. There's one other that's in planning, Travis, who's a good friend of mine, who's now director of planning. So there's a couple people sprinkled throughout. There's a couple people that have went to other shipyards, some in Canada, then some on the West Coast. But still a few, probably half a dozen folks or so that are at the company that are Michigan grads.
Anybody else?
I was wondering if you had any insights to share about making career decisions, and have you had much trouble making career decisions, or have you always been able to find the next step going forward?
Good question. I think I struggled early on when I first came into the department to understand what path I wanted to go through with naval architecture. So I think just being exposed to a little bit of everything kind of gave me a better feel for where I envisioned myself upon graduating. And I would say the shipyard exposure really kind of solidified me personally liking the fact of being able to step outside and see the product that was being built. And I'd say after graduation, I think I naturally always try to stay close to the industry to see where other shipyards are at or what new programs they were recently contracted for, or the recent downsizing of shipyards across the United States. So I would say that I'm fairly in tune with the industry, and I think with the Michigan alumni connections and a lot of the connections that I'm building within the shipyard industry, and a lot of focus that I've had with joining BIW with mentors, with other people in the companies in higher level positions that have even a bigger, broader network of contacts. I think a combination of all those things have kind of allowed me to feel comfortable whether I decide to move somewhere else in the next 5 years or whether I decide to stay here, for the next 10 or 15. Good question.
Anybody else?
How do you think how you prioritize your time changed during the course of your undergrad? And maybe even to like the first couple years of your professional life, depends.
Yeah, I think I struggled early on with not writing down maybe like my goals or plans for the week, whether it was a project or an exam or just an assignment. I think I kind of struggled early on with understanding, hey, this is the bigger picture for the week. How am I going to go and use my time effectively to make sure that I do everything that I need to do? And I think I struggled earlier on, even thinking longer term, right? We have all these exams, in the last 2 weeks of the semester or the last 2 weeks of the year. How am I allocating my time, 6 weeks prior to making sure that my notes are in good form or in good shape, or that I've consolidated them to something a little more manageable. So I think I really struggled early on, just taking the time to think and to kind of map out a plan and then to go execute it. Whereas now I think maybe I overthink my week plan or my month plan, and I'm not as flexible. But I think somewhere in between, just understanding the work, your scope of work, whether it's schoolwork or it's work, right? And just kind of quantifying it and prioritizing it and recognizing that, there's only so many hours in a day, and, there's certain things that are just as important with other activities outside of school that help feed the longer vision for yourself as an individual. But I think prioritizing things and just figuring out a way to write things down and to kind of manage it was my biggest struggle early on.
Anybody else? Nope. All right. Well, thank you very much, Dan. Let us know next time you're in Ann Arbor.
I definitely will. I'm excited. Definitely miss Ann Arbor and everything Michigan has to offer. I hope to be back soon. Thank you guys for having me.
Good. Thank you.